It's surprising what one weekend can do. On Friday, we were talking about de-escalation. We saw Russian tanks and soldiers return after their drills. The buzz was that maybe war could be averted after all. 2 days later, the situation has changed. Ukraine is back on the brink. People are asking the same question again. Will there be war? The Pentagon says yes, there will be war. Not next week or this weekend, but today. That's how confident America is. But until the tanks roll in, we cannot buy the American version. We can only report what we see on the ground. And in eastern Ukraine, that's pretty similar to war. In the last few days, 2,000 ceasefire violations were logged in Donbas. 2,000. Who is committing these violations? The answer depends on who you ask. Ukraine is blaming the Russia-backed insurgents. Their defense ministry reported 136 violations on Saturday. If you ask the insurgents, the army is at fault. They're accusing Ukraine of 66 ceasefire violations. It's basically an information war out there. Russia says Ukraine is preparing to attack Donbas. Ukraine says Russia is using Donbas as an excuse to invade. And this back and forth has human costs. 2 Ukrainian soldiers died in insurgent shelling. Around 61,000 people have fled from Donbas to Russia. All of this screams conspiracy. Just think about it. Ukraine's #1 priority at this point is to avoid war. Why would that same Ukraine provoke Russia in Donbas? On the other hand, Russia has much to gain. Donbas was always Vladimir Putin's gateway to Ukraine, a welcoming local population, armed rebels loyal to Moscow, and the perfect setting for a propaganda push. Everything happening in Donbas is from a wartime playbook. Women and children are being evacuated, trains and buses overloaded, forward checkposts abandoned, able-bodied men recruited. This is not the groundwork for war. This is war. The only difference is Russia has not entered the fray itself. It is fighting using proxies. And a new video should give you an idea. A couple of Ukrainian soldiers were patrolling in the east. A few journalists tagged along with them. Take a look at what happened next. Yes. That's the story of Donbas. Non-stop shelling, residents, soldiers, media, it doesn't matter. Ukraine's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, is calling for an immediate ceasefire. He wants a meeting with Vladimir Putin. He wants a peaceful settlement as soon as possible. But Zelensky will have to get in line because the West is proposing another meeting. Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin, a direct one-on-one summit to resolve all issues. Washington is game, but on one condition. Putin must not invade Ukraine. If Russia agrees to that, the meeting can happen. How is Moscow responding? With zero excitement. Vladimir Putin sees no prospects in a peace plan. He says Ukraine poses a serious threat to Russian security. Listen to this.
The use of Ukraine as an instrument of confrontation with our country represents a very big, a very serious threat for us.
How does the West see this refusal? As more evidence of a looming invasion, Russia keeps saying they won't attack Ukraine, but ground evidence suggests the very opposite. Let me show you satellite images. They show new Russian soldiers and artillery. Where are they deployed? Just 15 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. This is basically a U-turn by Russia. Last week they said all troops were returning. Instead, more Russian soldiers are arriving. Same with the Belarus military drills. Russia, remember, said it was part of their fixed schedule, nothing out of the ordinary. But now the plan has changed. Russia and Belarus have extended their joint military drills. Around 30,000 Russian soldiers will remain in Belarus. The United States believes the deployment is complete and that Vladimir Putin has everything he needs to invade.
He's been very deliberate in terms of assembling the right kind of combat and combat support capabilities in the border region. And so he has a number of options available to him now. And he could attack in short order. I don't believe it's a bluff. I think he's assembled the right kinds of things that you would need to conduct a successful invasion.
Either Joe Biden has a crystal ball or his intelligence agency is covering all bases. Either way, their reports are becoming more colorful every day. The latest one is quite detailed. Step 1, they say, Russia will create a pretext for invasion, maybe a false flag operation or a provocation in Donbass. Step 2, Russia swoops in to take Kiev, fighter jets, tanks, cyber attacks. The offensive is supposed to be swift and painful. Step 3, Russia will target certain individuals in Ukraine, perhaps politicians or activists, and these individuals will either be eliminated or sent to prison camps. It's a pretty detailed plan. And this is what America has told the world. But will the Russians actually do any of it? They're certainly capable of it. In public, though, Moscow continues to reject Western allegations. They say such dire warnings are counterproductive.
The fact is that this directly leads to an escalation of tension, and where tension is escalated to the maximum as it is now, for example, on the contact line, any spark, unplanned incident or little provocation can lead to irreparable consequences. Therefore, all this can have a devastating impact.
Again, it's a war of information. America does not want to be caught off guard, so they keep drumming up the Russian threat. And what does Moscow do? Flip the narrative, basically blame the West for any mishap. All this tension has spooked the global economy. Oil is inching closer to $100 per barrel. Stock markets are in the red. More flight operators are staying out of Kiev. Lufthansa and Swiss Air have suspended their flights. So has Air France. More countries are asking their citizens to leave Ukraine, Israel and India being the latest. India has asked all nationals, including students, to evacuate immediately. Air India is running 3 flights this week to ferry Indians back home. Clearly, the panic is spreading. And the only solution is diplomacy. Europe's big two, France and Germany, have taken the lead here. French President Emmanuel Macron was on the phone all Sunday. He spoke twice to Vladimir Putin and then dialed Joe Biden. In fact, the one-on-one summit was Macron's proposal. But as we keep saying, it is not a permanent solution. Just think about it. The shelling is in Ukraine. The troops are at Ukraine's border, yet Putin and Biden will decide the future. Zelensky will not even be at the table. Like I said at the start, the old question was, will there be war? Well, war has already started in Donbass. The new question is, will it be insurgents versus Ukraine or Russia versus Ukraine? WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.